So for the first myth we'll be solving today is whether or not Gohan actually has more evil in his heart. So for those of you who don't know, Master Roshi's ult is special. If we hit Goku with it here, you will see that I take like 60% of a health bar damage, about that, and Goku took like 14k. That is actually dependent on the character that you hit the Evil Containment Wave with. Every character in the game, as far as I can tell, it's a hidden stat, but they basically have a stat that determines the amount of evil in the person, which, yes, that's a real stat in this game. I believe it was in the last game too, but different characters take different amounts of damage. A great way to show that off is I have mid Goku right here, and if we hit him with it, I actually don't know how much damage this does though. It does 15, so it's a little bit more. Apparently mid Goku is slightly more evil. But if we were to hit Super Saiyan Goku with it instead, you would see that it jumps up about 600 damage, and then I take a little bit more damage in recoil. So basically, Super Saiyan, which, you know, is said to be more evil or more like impure because of the anger, actually does take more damage than like base Goku, and every character kind of does different amounts. If we hit Golden Frieza, who is arguably, you know, pretty evil person throughout the entire series, we do 1650, so, or 16500. Why am I saying it like that? We do 16,000, there you go. Now Janemba here is basically evil incarnate, so you would imagine that this would do quite a bit of damage. Frieza is pretty bad, but this is Janemba after all. It actually does less. So again, it's not perfect, I just want you to see the different ranges that Evil Containment Wave does, because it is different and it does do more damage based off of the character. Typically following that like whole evil thing. I wanted you to see the different ranges, that way you could have an example of how much this does. So Super Saiyan 1 Gohan, when hit by it, takes 17k, which is already like 700 more than Golden Frieza. And if you thought that was a lot, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, when hit, takes 17k, it takes almost 18k. That is, as far as I can tell, the most damage. I have not found any character that takes more damage from that, although I have not tested every character either yet. But it is considerably more than every other similar character. Not only is it way more than every comparable character, Super Saiyan 2 Adult Gohan takes like, what is that, 1600 less. So yeah, Teen Gohan specifically, for whatever reason, is considered by the Evil Containment Wave to have a considerable amount more evil in his heart than like every other version of him. It's actually really interesting. Even Gohan at his strongest with Beast Gohan only reaches 17.5, so it's not as much as Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which makes sense because like he's pretty pissed and pretty like wanting Cell to suffer at that point, so he probably does have quite a bit of evil in his heart, you know. So we got a bit of a quick one here, is whether or not Frost Poison affects characters that should be immune to poison. So Frost Rush attack here is secret poison if the whole thing is little needle hands will poison them, and they can start the whole combo. It did 9,213. So there are characters in the Dragon Ball series that should be immune to poison, because, you know, not everyone is even organic and not everyone is susceptible to poison. So it would make sense if some characters would take either less damage from it, since it's like an actual cutscene, or just wouldn't take any damage from the actual poison of it. So we have Dr. Gero here, who is entirely a android, no human in him at all. Takes the same amount of damage, is even hit by the one frame of the animation that is poison. And Android 17 here, who was, you know, built from a human, actually does take slightly more damage overall, which is interesting, but it doesn't matter. That's just a matter of defense of the character. They still take damage the same way that any of the androids do. And just to completely cover all our tracks, we'll try and hit Boo. And everything still works the same. because Majin Buu is actually canonically immune to poison, which is an interesting thing. Again, took less, but it's just a matter of bulkier characters. It doesn't actually affect that. But yeah, Majin Buu eats some poison chocolates at some point and is not affected by it at all. So in some of the games, Buu is actually immune to poison. So again, it's just a matter of it not being a skill and being a rush attack that makes it unfortunately not matter. It would be super cool though if the characters that should be immune to poison would take either no damage or less damage from the one hit that actually injects the poison. That would be really cool. So for this next one, I'm passing it back over to my friend, which is my second controller. So we're gonna see how beam clashes work and test if beam clashes actually have power scaling or not. Because going into this, I 100% thought they did. So if a stronger character hits a weaker character's attack, like, so say Golden Frieza beam struggles with Yamcha's Spirit Ball, like Golden Frieza's gonna have an advantage because of being the vastly superior character. It makes a lot of sense. So if we have both Gokus use Super Kamehameha here at the same time, held for the same duration, and we don't press any buttons, we just let the whole thing play out completely natural. You see that one Goku on the right just lost that one. We're gonna do the exact same thing, same setup, not altering anything. And you'll see the other Goku lost this time. So when you do a beam struggle with a super, right, just a super on super, it doesn't have to be the same attack actually, just two beams that can struggle with each other. It is basically a coin flip. There is not that much that affects two supers when they go at each other like that. It is basically the same regardless of anything that affects it. So if we both go to Super Saiyan Blue and we have one of the Gokus activate Kaioken, I think you would agree that should affect it. And then we have them both beam clash. You can see that the Kaioken Goku actually lost. Because like I said, it really is a true coin flip. Two supers going off of each other that can struggle, power scale, and nothing really matters for it at all. Now where power scaling does matter, maybe a little predictably, is if we have a Spirit Bomb and a Kamehameha clash with each other. The Spirit Bomb is always gonna win. If you don't change anything, the Spirit Bomb will always win. And there's actually two reasons for that, but we'll talk about the second one a little bit later. So in Ultimate, that clashes with a Super. If you don't press the buttons at all or you don't affect anything whatsoever, the Ultimate is always gonna win. It's just the way it works. The Ultimate beats Super. It has more of a, it just has more priority and more power, which makes a lot of sense. We'll show the other Goku now, just so you know it's not like one side's rigged, even though I could never do that. And you can see the Spirit Bomb wins again. A Super versus an Ultimate always gonna win unless there's some sort of input. Like if you put input in, then you can win, obviously, but just as baseline, without altering anything, the Ultimate's always gonna win. Now to show off two Ultimates clashing with each other, I have Adult Gohan versus Goku Black here. Which I think everyone would agree that of these two characters, especially base form, Goku Black is obviously considerably stronger. Is not even really a competition. So if we let this play out, yeah, Black actually loses. And if we do it again here, and I'm gonna start with Gohan, just so you know, like, it's not who does it first, or some sort of factor like that. Again, you just gotta kind of trust me at this, but you can always try this stuff at home. And we just let this one play out. You'll see that Black actually loses again, but we're gonna go until we get one where he wins, just so you can see. There you go, on the third one, Black actually won. So, two Ultimates that clash at each other, just like Supers, power-ups doesn't affect anything. It's literally a coin flip if you don't alter anything. With that being said, we now know that it's basically a coin flip what wins, unless it's a Super versus an Ultimate. However, there is something else. If we take two ultimates here, we're using Goku Black as the example again. One of the best ults in the game. And then we're going to use early Goku's Spirit Bomb. This attack is obviously nowhere near as strong as Black. Like, this is even a much weaker character than adult Gohan. You can see how pathetic that Spirit Bomb looks. And the first win is to Goku's Spirit Bomb. And if we roll it again, the second win is to Goku's Spirit Bomb. And if we do it a third time, who do you think is gonna win? It's Goku's Spirit Bomb. So that's gonna make you think, what is the difference between these two attacks? Because every single time you roll a combination like that, the Spirit Bomb will always win. And this is why. I'm gonna hold guard on Goku here and then have Black use his ult. I tank it. It's not an unblockable ult, right? I'm able to just eat it. Lots of attacks are like that. It does nothing to me. But if I do it the other way around and send the Spirit Bomb towards Black while he's guarding, we can't block it because Spirit Bomb is unblockable and the Black Kamehameha is not. And that's actually the difference. The game weirdly takes into account some level of power scaling when it comes to the unblockable ults versus the blockable ults. When it comes to beam clashes, unblockable ults actually always will beat blockable ults. So the game actually does have some weird power scaling when it comes to unblockable ultimates versus blockable. And unblockable, no matter what attack it is, will always beat a blockable ult in a beam struggle when there's no input. So it has like baseline priority over blockable ones, making them even more broken. It makes sense, it's just kind of crazy how broken they are. But it does go one layer deeper than that. If we were to take two ults and throw them at each other that are both unblockable, again, just to show power scale and doesn't really matter for characters, this is weak Spirit Bomb versus the obviously very strong Spirit Bomb. You'll see that the weak early Goku Spirit Bomb won. And you'll see rolling it again here on the very next attempt, Super Goku won. The way beam clashes work is there actually is some level of priority. There's basically three. There's supers, ultimates, and then unblockable ultimates, and each one has priority over the other. So ultimates always beat supers, unblockable ultimates always beat blockable ultimates, and then in every other circumstance, it's just a straight coin flip. It's actually really interesting. So our last myth for the day is going to be another pretty interesting one. You see we're in the rocky terrain here to make it more cinematic and more lore accurate. So it's whether or not early Vegeta is stronger than early Goku. So for those of you who have seen Dragon Ball, you know how the first fight goes in the Saiyan saga. It's that Vegeta is still considerably stronger than Goku. I mean, Goku goes Kaioken times 4 and hits him with an attack and still doesn't even kill him. Like, Goku only wins because of teamwork and honestly a little bit of luck. And also because Vegeta is very easily wounded with his pride. But the point is, Vegeta is way stronger than Goku in the Saiyan saga, like it's not even close. So we're gonna use Gohan here, Tracksuit Gohan, as our punching bag instead of Yamcha. You can see we do 390. I've showed this off before, but that's just so you get a baseline of the damage that you know that Goku's basic attack stat does, just as the normal baseline. So early Goku does 390. We go Kaioken, we do 429. It's not bad. I think that actually received a buff, so it's a little bit better. So 390 is our baseline. If we switch to early Vegeta here and attack, you see we do 351. So right there, that solves it, right? Just as a baseline, early Vegeta is worse than early Goku. Although I will say I think early Vegeta is the better character in the actual game. I like early Vegeta a lot. Sometimes even more in the Super Saiyan, but that's beside the point. Basically, he is weaker. He's considered much weaker, and it's actually kind of disrespectful, and I'm going to explain why. Kid Gohan per attack, 371. Babidi does 332, so we're not quite that disrespectful. Krillin does 371, so you know, they're saying that Krillin is stronger than early Vegeta, but you know, there was different time periods of Krillins, you might be able to say that. Tien is actually one of the strongest humans, doing like 400 something. But let's take OG Dragon Ball Goku, okay? He's obviously not gonna do more, right? 371. Like 351, if you go watch the last myth video, which I talked about power scaling a bit with the attacks with the different Gohan forms, you'll know that 390 is actually like pretty high. It's like the higher range of the different attacks for characters around that point, like untransformed characters. Vegeta's 351 is actually like near the rock bottom. Like Babidi is obviously less, like I showed, but it's pretty near the bottom. The Great Saiyaman does 390. Freaking Yamcha does 371, so they're saying early Vegeta is worse than Yamcha. I just want you to understand that. Raditz, the character who is, you know, way weaker than Vegeta, has the freaking strength of a Cyberman and then dies, right? 371, 20 more than early Vegeta. Nappa, the character that Vegeta one-shots, does 429. That's a little different though, because Nappa is more like a heavyweight, so he does more. But still, Raditz, who is canonically like, what, 25 times weaker than Vegeta, does more damage. The only other character I've actually seen that does roughly the same damage that's in the same class is actually Turles, that does 351. These are the only two characters in my testing that I've found that do this much damage. I don't know why. Like I said, Vegeta being that much weaker than early Goku, but not only that, just so much weaker than every other character in that range, and also other characters that are like similar. Like Raditz is a cost less than Vegeta DP wise. So not only is he canonically 20 something times weaker, he is also a less expensive character, and he still does more damage than Vegeta. It's honestly so disrespectful, but so funny at the same time. If you're enjoying these myths, I want to keep doing more of these, so, you know, like, subscribe. I'm pretty sure YouTube told me like 99% of people that watch this aren't subscribed or some stupid thing like that. It's true though.